The good old days. Those days we relive with smiles on our faces, joy in our hearts, regrets in the presence of our memories, for actions taken and not taken, and hopes in our countenance. For me, those were the moments I won't want to trade for anything else. Adetunji Ajayi is my name, and here is my exciting good old days story. I'm from Okemesi in the Ekiti State. Was born and raised in Ibadan, Oyo State. Father, Mr. Sunday Ajayi, is a building contractor, while mom, Florence Ajayi, is a trader. I'm the second child amongst 5 siblings. Growing up, it was fun and enjoyable. I attended Alafia Primary School in Ibadan, Bishop Phillips Academy, and the University of Agriculture in Abeokuta, Ogun State. I grew up in the tenement house, popularly known as Face Me, I Face You. And I tell you, you have to grow in that type of environment for you to understand the depth of fun that surrounded us in those days. The gang-ups, the corridor football, your toilet habits, the petty theft within the household, the gossips, the smartness, and the quick-wit nature. You can't grow up in such an environment without being streetwise. I recall those years, those nostalgic moments, when we would line ourselves up upon sighting the cattle egret, leke leke, and start singing, leke leke bamileke eyada bamileke. And after some time, we would check our fingers and found a whitish substance lacing our fingernails. It was then believed that it must have been the cattle egret that blessed us with its excreta. Funny days. I still wonder if it was actually real. So many to remember. Was it when they would tell us we would never be filled up, no matter the volume of food we had, if we sat by the doorstep to eat? Or when we would add 7 or 9 pebbles, depending on your gender, to your removed tooth, throw them into the roof, and run inside the house in order for the tooth to grow again? Or the Kelegbe days, when we would hang a short piece of broomstick in our hair just to bring out at the shortest notice to claim the food or any item of the unsuspecting partner who had no broomstick with him. I was a master in this act. I claimed a lot of food from my friends and family through the process. Those days, when we played football barefooted, got wounded, and used sand to cover our wounds, and continued playing. Some of those scars are still on us till date. Those days reminded us of those days of fun when we'll use our mouth to draw water from a public tap, roll motorcycle and car tires on the streets, play kite, and during Harmattan, rub our hands and legs with excess oil from the akara we would buy on our way to school. Those days when we will spend some of the money for transportation back home, trek half of the distance and take a bus to cover the rest. Those days of fine ice, goody-goody, bazooka, Nasco biscuit, and treble. Oh, I miss those days of tales about the exploit of Ijapa, tortoise, and the wife, Yonibo. Those stories always ended up with great moral lessons. In one moment of great feat, I would see Ijapa as a role model, and in another moment of disgrace, I would see Ijapa as a villain, whose ways of life must not only be condemned, but also unworthy of emulation. Some of these stories also came with songs that will make recall of the stories easier. Storytelling in those days formed the core of moral trainings. Some of the do's and don'ts we have come to imbibe today in our attitudes and ways of life were products of the stories we were told while growing up. I miss those days of communal living, where it didn't matter who your biological parents were. Moral trainings were the responsibilities of everyone in the neighborhood. Days you would prefer to be disciplined out there than to allow them to come to report you to your parents and serve what we called double punishment. I represent a generation who, despite our pranks, believed in hard work, resilience, and honest means of making income. A generation that cherished good name above gold and silver and value integrity as a hallmark of excellence. Sadly, you can't make the good old days come back just by painting pictures of them. Technology, as good as it is, has made everything become so easy, but I still miss those days of interaction within and between families. When there were no emojis icon, camera phones, Zooms as means of social connections. As good as these devices are, it has completely alienated families and friends, such that I am tempted to clamor for a recap of those beautiful good old days, when we communicate physically with each other more, when our society was relatively free and peaceful, when time-tested values ruled in every home, when it was a great honor to live within your honest means, when we were not defined by our race and religion, but by our attitude and dispositions. Regrettably, we cannot turn back the hand of the clock, but we can do something, recapture the virtues of old to shape a better and brighter future. We can bring up new and refreshing ideas and trends that make into consideration our valued past and merge with the current age of technology and development with a view to achieving peace, progress, and prosperity. We can have a cultural rebirth and a sound ethical orientation that will give our youth a better vision of a new day and a promising tomorrow that will outshine the good old days. We can do it. Yes, we can change the narrative. I therefore join Sir Shemori Badejo in this determined drive towards a greater and more promising future for not only our youth, but for us all. Thank you.